ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਧਨਾਸਰੇ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ। ਘਰ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਚੌਪਦੇ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ। ਜੀਓ ਡਰਥ ਹੈ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੈਸਿਓ ਕਰੀ ਪੁਕਾਰ। ਦੁਖ ਵਿਸਾਰਨ ਸੇਵਿਆ ਸਦਾ ਸਦਾ ਦਾਤਾਰ। ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮੇਰਾ ਨੀਤ ਨਵਾ ਸਦਾ ਸਦਾ ਦਾਤਾਰ ਰਹਾਉ। ਅਨ ਦਿਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸੇਵੀਐ ਅੰਤ ਛਡਾਏ ਸੋਏ। ਸੁਣ ਸੁਣ ਮੇਰੀ ਕਾਮਣੀ ਪਾਰ ਉਤਾਰਾ ਹੋਏ। ਦਿਆਲ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਤਰਾ ਸਦ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੈ ਜਾਉ ਰਹਾਉ। ਸਰਬੰ ਸਾਚਾ ਏਕ ਹੈ ਦੂਜਾ ਨਾਹੀ ਕੋਇ। ਤਾਕੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਸੋ ਕਰੇ ਜਾ ਕੋ ਨਦਰ ਕਰੇ। ਤੁਧ ਬਾਜ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਕੇਵ ਰਹਾ ਸਾ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਦੇਹ। ਜਿਤ ਨਾਮ ਤੇਰੇ ਲਾਗ ਰਹਾ ਦੂਜਾ ਨਾਹੀ ਕੋਇ। ਜਿਸ ਆਗੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਜਾਇ ਕਹਾ ਰਹਾਉ। ਸੇਵੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪਣਾ ਅਵਰ ਨਾ ਜਾਂਚੋ ਕੋਇ। ਨਾਨਕ ਤਾਕਾ ਦਾਸ ਹੈ ਬਿੰਦ ਬਿੰਦ ਚੁਖ ਚੁਖ ਹੋਇ। ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਮ ਵਿਟ ਹੋ ਬਿੰਦ ਬਿੰਦ ਚੁਖ ਚੁਖ ਹੋਇ। ਨਾਨਕ ਤਾਕਾ ਦਾਸ ਹੈ ਬਿੰਦ ਬਿੰਦ ਚੁਖ ਚੁਖ ਹੋਇ। ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਮ ਵਿਟ ਹੋ ਬਿੰਦ ਬਿੰਦ ਚੁਖ ਚੁਖ ਹੋਇ ਰਹਾਉ। ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੀ ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੇ ਸਭਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਰਵਣ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਐਵਰੀਬਾਡੀ ਜਸਟ ਲਿਸਨ ਟੂ ਦ ਵਰਡਸ ਆਫ ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ। This is the Bani, this is the Shabad that we will be going through. Now Maharaj ji ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਸ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਕਰਵਾ ਲੈਣ। Before we start looking at the actual arth, before we start looking at the actual translation to this Bani, it's very important that we look at the background to this Bani about where ਇਹ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਉਚਾਰੀ ਗਈ। Where was Maharaj ji when Guru Nanak Dev Ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ recited this ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਬਾਣੀ। And Gursikh Pyaro, to look at the background of this Bani, Bhai Gurdas Ji is going to take us to a place called Kartarpur Sahib. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha spent about 30 years travelling all over India. And now Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji comes back and settles down in a place called Kartarpur Sahib. That place that Bhai Gurdas Ji has also written about. Bhai Gurdas Ji in their own words saying, Fir Baba Aya Kartarpur ਭੇਕ ਉਦਾਸੀ ਸਗਲ ਉਤਾਰਾ। ਪਹਿਰ ਸੰਸਾਰੀ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਮੰਜੀ ਬੈਠ ਕੀਆ ਅਵਤਾਰਾ। ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ about this place, the background of this Bani. Where was Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji when they recited this Bani? Which place were they at? Bhai Gurdas Ji write about this place. What used to happen at Kartarpur Sahib? Bhai Gurdas Ji saying, Fir Baba Aya Kartarpur. Bhai Gurdas Ji used to refer to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji as Baba. And saying, Fir Baba Aya Kartarpur. This is now Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji come to a place and sit down in Kartarpur Sahib. And says, what happened when they came to Kartarpur Sahib? They said, Pek Udasi Sagal Utara. It says Pek udasi sagal utara. Pek means religious clothes. Meaning that when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha went on their travels, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji was out there saving those people that were burning in desires, those people that are drowning in their own sins, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha went out to save those people, Guru Nanak Dev Ji were wearing religious clothes, wearing like a chola. But this is when they came back to Kartarpur Sahib, it doesn't mean that they stopped doing prachar. It doesn't mean that they stopped saving people. But Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha took off those robes. This is Pek udasi sagal utara. Udasi meaning they took off the robes of a person being detached from the world. What did they do instead? Pehar sansari kapade. They said they wore clothes of a normal householder. Bhai Gurdas Ji said when Guru Nanak Dev Ji came to Kartarpur Sahib, it says Pehar sansari kapade. They wore the clothes of a normal householder. Because often people get mixed up in these things. It's very important for us to understand these things. Because a lot of people say that that abana, what is abana? And people say abana is only referred to as a chola. That somebody can only do prachar in a chola, somebody can only do prachar in a kurta. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji here, they've come back to Kartarpur Sahib and they've worn normal clothes. They've broken us away from the shackles of even clothes, meaning saying that only if we're wearing religious clothes, only then we can talk about God, only then we can go and save the world. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying no. They said this game is a lot further than that. They're saying Pehar sansari kapade. This is manji bat. They sat on a normal manji. This is manji bat. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha ji sat upon a manji. Manji bat kiya avatara. Avatara over here means they sat down on their normal householder manji in their house, and that's where they saved people. This is about what happened here. This is Ulti Gang Vasahun. This is Ulti Gang Vasahun. You know, if you look at the water of Ganga, Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying if it's flowing this way, it can only flow one way, a river can. This is Ulti Gang Vasahun. They said, Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha went to Kartarpur Sahib, this is the water flowing one direction, but they stopped that from happening and they made it flow the other direction. Can they ulti gang vasahun? Can then they made it flow the other way around instead? Can they ult kar ditta kaam Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha ne Kartarpur Sahib jaake? They don't literally mean that they made the river Ganges flow the opposite way around. But what do they mean here? They're saying ulti gang vasahun, meaning that they did something different to the rest of the world. Often what did people do of that time? What was the Hindus doing of that time? First, they would be engrossed in their childhood. The first 25 years would be engrossed in getting educated. But then, umra odon bande di jindagi char hisseyan vich vandi jandi sigi. Often it was separated into 4 sections of a person's life. Even though they didn't know how long they were going to live, but they used to leave the last section of their life. So from 75 years old onwards, they used to give up their household ways. They used to go to jungles and become completely detached. So the last part of somebody's life, at that part of their life, they would give up. They would give up their family, they would become detached, they would wear clothes, they wear a pek of udasis. And they'd go to the jungles. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha, they did something completely separate to the rest of the world. This is ulti gang vasahun. At the last time of their life, the last section of their life, when people give up their families, Guru Nanak Pacha Ji came from their travels and they came and sat in their family. The complete opposite to how the rest of the world did things. Ulti gang vasahun, meaning they made the water flow the other direction. People were giving up their family. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha is coming in and sitting in their family now at the last part of their life. Not only did they come and sit in their family, what else did they do that was different to the rest of the world? Often, whatever somebody has achieved, they want to give that throne to their sons. They leave that throne within their family. But what did they do? Ulti gang vasahun, gur angat sir uppar tara. They didn't give to their sons what they had, but instead they gave to who? They gave to gur angat sir uppar tara. They gave everything to Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha, not their sons. That was something else that was completely separate from the rest of the world. Everybody would want to keep everything within their own house. What else was separate to the rest of the world? nobody is able to give up their throne whilst they are still alive. They are so attached to it. And you see that happening even up until today. Whether it be somebody becoming a pradhan of a gurdwara, he doesn't want to give up that seat at no cost. You will never see somebody that has, it might be a rare scene that you might see somewhere, but not very often will you see a scene like that. Where somebody leading the gurdwara himself comes forward and says, we've done enough. It's your chance now, it's your turn to take over. If you think about what age was Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha when they went on their travels. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha was between 25 and 30 years old. 25 ਤੋਂ 30 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਸੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਗਏ ਉਦਾਸੀਆਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ. But all the paintings that we see of Guru Nanak Padsha, every painting that we see of Guru Nanak Padsha is painted of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha being old. We see Guru Nanak Padsha in a white beard. We see Guru Nanak Padsha, a lot of the paintings show Guru Nanak Dev Ji to be quite chubby. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha, they walked so much. If you read our history, Guru Nanak Padsha, they say he went without days for food. That Guru Nanak Padsha that walked so much throughout their life, that Guru Nanak Padsha that didn't care about food, that Guru Nanak Padsha that went at the age of about 30 years old to do prachar, Guru Nanak Padsha wasn't old like they seemed in the pictures, how they are painted. Why are people painting Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha to be old like we see on the paintings? Why? Because the elders, they don't want to let go of their positions. They want to say, look, this is how who's supposed to be doing prachar, somebody of this age. But no, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha, they say they were quite slim. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha, obviously they had a black beard when they went out to do prachar. So Khair Guru Sikh Pyaro, at their prime youth, Guru Nanak Padsha was out doing prachar. And then, at the last moments of the years, the last 13 years or so of their life, they came to Kartarpur Sahib and they sat on a manji, wearing a normal householder's clothes. And they sat there and they did prachar. But like I said, they did something totally separate. Somebody that can't give up their throne whilst they're alive, they will never turn around and give up what they have got. But then there was that Guru Nanak Padsha, whilst still being alive, he sat Guru Angad Dev Ji Padsha Ji upon the throne, and whilst still being on this earth, Guru Nanak Padsha not caring what the world would think, they themselves did matha take to Guru Angad Dev Ji Padsha. Angat, Gur Angad, Sir Uppar Tara. And then what used to happen here? What used to happen at Kartarpur Sahib? And this is aithe hoya ki kende putri kaul na palya. Kaul means bachan. I'm just sketching a scene of Kartarpur Sahib, that place where Guru Nanak Padsha Ji recited this Bani. The second shabd that we see in Shabad Hazaare. They say putri kaul na palya. Guru Nanak Padsha tested the Sikhs, tested their sons, tested Guru Angad Dev Ji. This is but putri, their sons putri, kaul na palya. Kaul means bachan. Means whatever Guru Nanak Padsha Ji was saying kaul na palya, their sons, they didn't follow what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha was saying fully. This is instead man khote. They said the sons of Guru Nanak Padsha Ji, their minds were khote, were false. This is man khote, aki nasyara. Aki means, you hear this word as well when we read the Dohira. Aki rehna koi. Bhai Gurdas Ji write these words as well about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's sons. This is Aki Nasyara. Aki means to be disobedient, to be rebellious. This says Guru Nanak Dev Ji's sons, they were disobedient and they were rebellious. They didn't always listen to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha. These are Bhai Gurdas Ji's words. This is in Putri, Kaul na palya. Kaul meaning bachan. This is when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha Ji spoke. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's sons, Maaf Karna, Baba Shri Chand and Lakshmi Das Ji, they didn't always follow what Guru Nanak Dev Ji was saying. Putri Kaul na palya. Man khote, their minds were false. Aki nasyara. Aki means they were disobedient. Nasyara means, comes from the word nasajana. Nas means to run off. This says they were nasyare, meaning their minds, they weren't at peace. Their minds were running all over the place. Where were their minds running? Were their minds running towards what Guru Nanak Dev Ji was saying? No. Their mind was running towards the throne. Their minds were running, wanting what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha Ji had. Not the bakshish, but that power that they had, that people came and fell at the feet of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha. But Khair Guru Sikh Pyaro, this is a scene that by Gurdas Ji sketching about Kartarpur Sahib. And they said what used to happen over here, this is Bani Mukho Uchariye. If you imagine Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha staying in one place for so many years, even though when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha travelled, over there Guru Nanak Pacha ne Bani uchari, because there is so much Bani that has got history hidden behind it. So Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying, Bani mukho uchari hai. Whilst Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha sat at Kartarpur Sahib, Bani mukho uchari hai. From the pavan pavitra mouth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha used to come the divine words of Akal Purkh whilst they were sitting at Kartarpur Sahib. What used to happen with these words? They said, Hoye Rusanai, word Rusanai meaning Roshani, light. It says people's lives would be lit up when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha would speak in Kartarpur Sahib. This is Bani Mukho Acharya Hoye Rusanai. Roshani aa jandi sige in the hearts of people when Guru Nanak Pacha Ji spoke. What else happened? Mite andeyara. The darkness started to dispel from people's lives when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji spoke. This is Bhai Gurdas Ji's war. So they go through a routine with us, and this says Gyan, Gosht, Charcha, Sada, something that we have lost today. It wasn't just Guru Nanak Pacha sitting on a stage, sitting on the Manji in Kartarpur Sahib, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji singing Bani. They sing, but instead what used to happen when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha, what were people getting from the words of Guru Nanak Pacha? Gyan. This is what Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying. Gyan, they used to get wisdom from Guru Nanak Dev Ji's words, not direct from the Bani because they couldn't always understand. But what used to happen? Guru Nanak Pacha used to speak and then Gyan, Charcha, they used to say Gyan, Ghost, Charcha, Sada. What does ghost mean? Ghost means conversation. This is something that we've lost in Gurdwara today. But this is what used to happen at Kartarpur Sahib. Because Kartarpur Sahib is the example of what a Gurdwara Sahib should be. Because this is where the Maryada came for a Gurdwara. This was the first place that a Gurdwara was actually established in Kartarpur Sahib. So Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha used to speak, Bani Mukho Acharya, but what used to happen from that, there used to be Gyan, then Ghost, a conversation. A conversation happens between two people. So they used to ask the Sangat, are you following this? Do you understand what it means? Have you got any questions? At that point, then the Sangat used to get involved. It was a two-way thing, Sangat was in a Gurdwara. So this says Gyan, Ghost, Charcha. Charcha means to when you've actually got an opportunity to open your heart. When you make it two-way, when it becomes alive, you've got that opportunity to understand. So nobody walked out that door without understanding. Maharaj Ji Kirpa Kan that these things slowly start to come back in our Gurdwara. That Gyan, Ghost, Charcha, Sada, these used to happen all the time. And then they said, what was the atmosphere like? This is Anhad Shabad, Uthe Tunkara. They said the atmosphere was like this. This is Anhad Shabad. Anhad is something that we call unstruck. The unstruck sound. What does that mean? The atmosphere used to be so blissful. You could feel something in the air when Guru Nanak Pacha used to speak. You could feel when the Sangat used to have this conversation, you could feel that atmosphere in the Sangat. Anhad Sabad Uthe Tunkara, that vibration you could feel in the air when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha used to sit in Kartarpur and speak. And then they say, what was their daily duty? What type of Baniyan did they read on a daily basis? This is Sodar, Aarti, Gaviye. As you see a Harmandir Sahib, the Maryada de, Sodar Tera Keha, So Kar Keha, Jit Beh Sarb Samale. They actually sing that. Why? Because Bhai Gurdas Ji said that. Look how much we can learn from Bani. Just to know how to practice in Gurdwara. It says Sodar, Aarti, Gaviye. And then after Sodar, they said they used to sing Aarti. Not just read it, but sing it together. As you will see at the Takht Sahibs, mainly that's what is done. This Sodar, Aarti, Gaviye. And then what happened in the morning? This is Amrit Vele, Jap, Uchara. Jap over here means Japji Sahib. This is, and then Amrit Vela, even when they didn't sing Japji Sahib, then this is Jap, Uchara. Ucharan karde sake. They used to speak Japji Sahib in the morning. So this is what used to happen. Then they said, what was happening to the world at that time? Gurmukh, Par, Atharban Tara. This is people were getting away from the weights of the Veds of that time. They were so complicated to understand. Only the high caste Brahmins could read the Granths, these Veds to other people. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha took away that weight of understanding, having to understand something so complicated, having to go through somebody that claimed to be of high caste, that only they've got the rights to the words of God. So Gurmukh Par, Atharban Tara. Atharban is one of the 4 Veds, the 4 scriptures. So this is a scene of what used to happen, Gursikh Pyaro, at Kartarpur Sahib, which teaches us what our Gurdwara should be like. It shouldn't be like even now, like what we're doing, I'm doing here, just one person sitting here and talking to the Sangat. Yes, it should, even if it starts off like that, like Guru Nanak Pacha did, that Bani Mukhochariya, but eventually it should turn into Gyan, Gosht, Charcha, Sada. And this is Sada, meaning it used to happen constantly through the Sangat. There used to always be a conversation going on about the Shabad. So, Khair Gursikh Pyareo. Again, just before we look at this Bani, the first time Guru Nanak Pacha Ji, they set place just before they settled in Kartarpur Sahib. What happened here? Guru Nanak Pacha Ji came to Kartarpur Sahib once before, just before they came to settle here. There's a beautiful flowing river there. The river Ravi is flowing there. And now this Kartarpur Sahib is in Pakistan. There's a beautiful river flowing there. The scene is beautiful. There's greenery everywhere, there's trees. And Gursikh Pyareo, Bhai Mardana Ji is playing the rabab, and you can hear this beautiful sound resounding in the air. And some distance away, there's a bibi, this woman, she's listening very carefully to this sound. She's never heard anything like this before. This is the first time Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha came to Kartarpur Sahib, just before they settled here. She can hear this beautiful sound. Where is she sitting? She's sitting on a tree that has fallen. She's sitting on the bark of that tree and listening. Where is this sound coming from? She can barely make out, but she can see 2 people sitting by a teak tree, by a huge tree. There's shade everywhere there. And she can hear this beautiful sound coming from that direction. And she's thinking, I have been to many weddings. I have sang many times myself. I enjoy going with my friends. I enjoy sitting on the swings with my friends and listening and singing and playing music. But never before have I heard any music like this before. It doesn't sound as if this music belongs to this world. What is it that is taking my mind away and drawing my mind towards that direction? And she's thinking, shall I go over to that direction? But she's very simple. She's not educated. She's thinking, no, maybe I should keep away from these men. Maybe they're here. Maybe they tug. Maybe they're here to rob people. Maybe they play this music and then people go towards them and then they take their money. Maybe I should keep away. She comes again the second day to that same place. She sits on that same bark. She sits on that same tree. But her mind is saying, no. I've never heard anything like this before. This music is true. These sounds, these words, I've never heard anything like it before. Why is my mind being pulled so much? I've sang before, I've danced before. But never has my mind been at ease like this before. Should I go over? These men, they've been in our village now for days. I've never seen them knock on anyone's door asking for any money, asking for any food. They've got to be something different. They've got to be something special. Maybe they've fallen from the heavens. On the third day, she makes her mind up. She's saying, how are they coping? How are they getting by? She's saying, I've not seen them eat anything. I've not seen them knock on anyone's door. All they do is they play that instrument and they sing. What are they made out of? Don't they get hungry like everybody else? I'm a human being. Yes, I work hard. Yes, I get up in the morning. Yes, I start to churn the milk because that's what I do. Yes, I make the food for my husband. But if I go without food, even if I miss one meal, I can't cope. I can't get through the day. But these men, they're sitting here for 3 days and their voices haven't changed. They've still got that. They've still got that loving sound in their voice. And she's drawn towards this sound, drawn towards this voice. She starts to walk over. When she reaches this tree, this beautiful tree, she sees there is only one man sitting here. Only one man sitting here, sitting with this beautiful instrument that we all know as a rabab. Who was sitting here, Guru Sikh Pyaro, is Bhai Mardana Ji. Bhai Mardana Ji sitting here on his own. And she asks, she's saying, don't you eat anything? I've not seen you guys for 3 days. You've not gone anywhere. You are not a human being. And Bhai Mardana Ji laughs. He says, I am just like you. I am a human being just like you. I get hungry just like you. I've been sitting here, yes. My stomach does get filled with this food. The food of this devotional love, these songs of praise of Waheguru. Yes, my stomach does get filled with this. But I also get hungry like you. But you know what? I'm actually hungry right now. I was hoping somebody would come by. I was hoping somebody would come by and ask me. But my master, but my guru, he is something separate. You ask me, have I fallen from the heavens that I don't get hungry? You say to me that I am not a human being. I'll tell you, oh my sister, I am a human being just like you, but my master isn't. My guru isn't. Even if he sat here for another century, he still wouldn't ask for food. He would get filled with the words of Waheguru and with the songs and the praises of Waheguru. He wouldn't get hungry, but I do. And she said, oh my brother, she says, is it okay if I bring some milk for you? And Bhai Mardana Ji laughs. He says, my ears were waiting for somebody to say these words. Of course it's okay, my sister. Yes, you may. Of course you can bring some milk for me. As she's walking off, she turns back again. She said, are you sure you are from this world? Are you sure you're a human being? I've never heard music like this before. She says, are you lying to me? I used to hear stories when I was a little child of these fairy lands. It's like you, this music has taken me to that fairy land. This isn't real. Mardana Ji says, believe me, when you see me drink that milk, you know I'm real. You know I'm a human being. But I'll tell you what, my guru, he isn't after these things. He can do without this milk. He can sing without this milk. And now she goes home. She's forgotten. She didn't used to do anything without telling her husband. But today, she forgets to even tell her husband. All night she's waiting to go back with that milk. She's saying, I want to see his guru. Kartarpur Sahib, that beautiful place. That why did Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha decide to come and sit in this beautiful place? For so many years. Morning comes, she prepares the food for her husband, but alongside she prepares this milk as well. She prepares this milk with so much joy, with so much excitement. She goes running to that place, but today, that place, not only that person that is playing the rabab, but Guru Nanak Pacha sit before it as well. When she does darshan of Guru Nanak Pacha, she sees Guru Nanak Pacha Ji singing. And she just freezes. She couldn't even do matha tek, she couldn't speak, she couldn't do nothing. She just stands. She's standing and she's just looking at Guru Nanak Pacha Ji's chehra, Guru Nanak Pacha Ji's face. Guru Nanak Pacha Ji stops singing, she's still standing there. Tears are flowing down her face. And at once, her body starts to crumble and fall. People say today, people say we should never bow down to anyone other than Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. But Guru Sikh Pyareo, but there's those beings out there still today that each word of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj Ji that they are earning in their life. They have got so much love for Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. It's not that out like sheep you go and fall at somebody's feet. You can see so much love. You can feel Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha running through their veins, that your body starts to fall towards their feet. It's not that you follow somebody else like a sheep to fall at their feet. It's that your body can't but help fall at their feet. because they've got so much love of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj Ji inside of them. She's standing there, her body, nobody tells her to do matha tek, but her body today has fallen at the feet of Guru Nanak Pacha because that loving murti is sitting in front of her. That form of love sits in front of her. She's forgotten that she's even bought this milk. She's got this picture on her head. There's a bronze bowl on top of that picture. And today, it's full of milk. Bhai Mardana Ji's looking eagerly. Bhai Mardana Ji saying, this is, will you keep looking or will you give us some milk as well? Isn't that why you was coming back today? And she puts that milk forward. And she's saying, oh Guru, please take this. Please accept this milk from me. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji looks at her. Guru Nanak Pacha looks at him. Guru Nanak Pacha says, no. This is listen. This is listen, Dodo Rani. That's what her name was. This is listen, Dodo Rani. She wasn't a Rani. She wasn't a princess. She wasn't a queen. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji knew that's where she's heading. She's heading to become a queen. Who is a queen? Who is a king? Who is a Raja? A Raja is somebody jara Rajagya, that is completely satisfied and fulfilled from inside. That's who a Raja is. That's who a queen is. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha knew that's where she's heading. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, no, why don't you drink this milk? Inside you have a desire. Inside you drink this milk and your desire will be fulfilled. Your desire is for a son. Your desire is for the riches of this world. And she spoke, she says, oh Guru Nanak, before I saw you, yes they were. I'm not going to lie to you. Before I saw you, oh Guru Nanak, yes, me and my husband spoke. Yes, me and my husband desired a son. Yes, me and my husband said we would like some more land. Yes, me and my husband said we would like more cattle. But when I saw you, oh Guru Nanak, when I heard this music, you took me to that place where I was when I was in my childhood. For a child, everything is poetry. For a child looks up at the clouds, but a child doesn't see a cloud, a child sees a picture. A child sees a dragon. A child sees a fairy. And you look at that child and you say, what are you looking at, oh child? And that child will say, I can see a monster in the sky. And you say, stop being silly, there's no monster in the sky. Oh yes, father, look, I can see a fairy in the sky. I can see wings. And you say, no, there's not, there's just clouds. And she says, you've taken me back to that world. What is that world? That world exists in all of us. But we put that world to sleep. When my mother told me stories, those stories that I've come away from, and now all I know is that we've got to work. Now that all I know is got to go and earn food. All I know now is got to go and earn some money for some food. We've got to come back home. I've got to save my husband. That's all I knew of life. I don't want anything else. I've forgotten about the son. Please take this milk. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, oh Mardanya, he says, you've been waiting eagerly. This Mardanya, take the milk. This says, no Guru. Oh no Guru Sahib, no matter how hungry I am, I won't put it upon this tongue unless you've had some first. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha takes the milk. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha, upon taking this milk, then Bhai Mardana Ji had some, and then Dodo Rani had some. She goes home, she's not the same person anymore. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha has filled her with Naam. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha has filled her with the remembrance of Vaheguru. All now she says, she's saying, she goes home, she's still churning the milk, but now she's saying Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru with each breath. She sat and gossiped with her friends. She went out, she looked and she sat with those same friends on that same swing. They're trying to talk to her, they're trying to gossip with her, but she's saying all that comes out of her mouth. She's saying Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. They're saying that she's not worth being around anymore. Her husband, she goes home, her husband tries to talk to her. She's saying, Dodo, what's happened to you? She's saying Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Nothing else is left upon her tongue. She makes his food, but all she's waiting for is to go to that satsang. What is satsang, Gursikh Pyaro? What does it mean to come to Sangat? Tan tan satsangat jit har ras paya. Guru Sahib Ji tell us what satsangat is. He's saying tan tan. Blessed is that sangat. Which sangat? Tan tan sat sangat jit har ras paya. When you're filled for love, when that juice of love is flowing inside of your body, that is what sat sangat is. Many people say, this is मैं sat sangat करके आया, मैं satsang करके आया, मैं chamte बजा के आया. I went and sat and I listened. I went and sat and I played the tolki and I heard the tolki. They're saying, have you really been to satsang? They says, yes, I have. But when they go out of that room, they're still the same person. Still upon that tongue. Still upon that tongue, they've got lies. Still upon that tongue, they've got harsh words. No, the juice isn't flowing yet. That means they haven't been to satsangat yet. But Gursikh, when you've been to satsangat, the sangat of truth, when that juice of love starts to flow inside, that's when you can say, yes, I've been to satsangat. Because Abu Gurbani tells us, does the artha what satsangat is. She now goes every day, she takes milk every day. The villagers start to gossip, they tell her husband. They said, your wife, she goes to see two men. You should keep an eye on her. You don't know what she's getting up to. But you know what? He was a good man. He just didn't believe what he heard. He thought, you know what? She's a good wife. She brings me food. She gives me so much love. I'm not going to believe them. I want to go and see for myself. Gursikh Pyareo, Dodo Rani, the wife of Pai Doda. His name is Pai Doda. He's sitting today he's hiding behind a tree. He hides behind a tree. She sits in front of Guru Nanak Patsha. She listens to Guru Nanak Patsha Ji singing. And Guru Nanak Patsha today, when they stop singing, Guru Nanak Patsha Ji stopped singing. And today, when she says, Guru Nanak Patsha, here's that milk that you drink every day. Please take it and please accept this milk. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Patsha, they said no. And she's saying, Maharaj, why? You've been drinking it for many days. What has happened? This says, I'm not going to drink it until your husband comes out of that tree where he's hiding. This is, tell him to come out. She says, where? She says, he doesn't even know that I come here. I was so scared to tell him because I thought he might stop me from coming here. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha said, this is, call your husband. And she says, Pati ji. She says, bahar aao. She says, come outside. And Guru Nanak Pacha says, Pai Dodya, aaja bahar, tu bhi vekh la kirdar de rang. Why don't you come and experience the color, the love of Waheguru, of Kartar, of the Creator as well. Come out of that tree, you don't need to hide anymore. He comes out and he said the same words as his wife. He says, where have you bought this music from? Has it come from the heavens? Are you even human beings? What is it that is hidden in this music? What is it hidden that is hidden in these words? Bani mukho uchariye. This is what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha did in Kartarpur Sahib when they came for the first time. He sat with Guru Nanak Pacha. The Sangat starts to grow. As the Sangat starts to grow, Guru Nanak Pacha, Gursikh Pyareo leave Kartarpur Sahib. They go to a few more places. As they were going to a few more places, when they came back, so much Sangat now has started to build up. That as today, Pai Doda comes to Guru Nanak Pacha, he says, oh Guru Nanak Pacha, I want to make you a little shed to sit in. I want to make you a pakki jaga. I want to make a shelter for you, O Guru Nanak. Pai Doda ji saying. But you know what Guru Nanak Pacha said? Guru Nanak Pacha says, Waheguru ji has made me a shelter. They said, where? They're saying, you're sitting on this wild place, you're sitting in the grass. He says, I can't see a shelter above your head. They said, look at this beautiful canopy that Akal Purkh has given me. Pai Doda is looking, this is O Guru Nanak, this is what canopy? I can't see a canopy over your head. This is, look at this beautiful canopy, look at this sky. This is given to me by Waheguru. This canopy is everywhere I go. Wherever I look, Guru Nanak Pacha says, I've travelled. So many places, so many countries, this canopy was always there for me. Pai Doda said, the world that you live in, Guru Nanak, we are not so fortunate to live in that world. They say, oh Guru Nanak, I am not going to make the shelter for you. Oh Guru Nanak, I'm going to make that shelter for people like me that come to listen to you because I am not at that level yet. The shelter of the sky is not enough for people like me yet. Oh Guru Nanak, I know you have gone way beyond these things. But let me make it for people like me, for those people like me that are going to come and sit here and listen to you, oh Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak Pacha said, where will you make this shelter? This says, I've got some land, O Guru Nanak. Bhai Dodda Ji said, listen to this carefully. Bhai Dodda Ji said, I've got some land. I want to make you a shelter on my little land. Guru Nanak Pacha said, on your land? He's gotten so far. He's traveled so far. He was a normal person. He was after these riches. He wanted a son. He even said to his wife, he says, even though I serve Guru Nanak, but I still got that desire for a son. I know you've gone way beyond that. I still want a son. I still want more land. And he says, I'm going to ask Guru Nanak. He asked Guru Nanak for all these riches. He got these things. Upon getting a son, upon getting land, he got everything. But then there was still something left inside of him. There was something that was still inside of him that Guru Nanak Pacha still had to carve. Guru Nanak Pacha said, you want to give me some land? Guru Nanak Pacha said, can they listen, O Bhai Dodda? They said, is it your land? Bhai Dodda Ji said, yes, O Guru Nanak, it is my land that I want to give to you. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, think again. Bhai Dodda, this land doesn't belong to you. They said, this land belongs to Kartar. They said, Kartar? Bhai Dodda said, I've never heard of Kartar. They said, who's that? They said, no, Guru Nanak, I promise you, I'm not fooling you. He thought that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is thinking that he's going to give me somebody else's land and somebody else is going to come and take this land away. He says, nay, Guru Nanak, I can promise you this doesn't belong to Kartar. I own this land. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, you own this land? Who owned this before you? He said, my father. He said, oh, okay. He said, so your father owned this land before you came? He said, yes, Guru Nanak. So he said, you haven't always owned this, have you? He said, no, Guru Nanak. He said, so this hasn't always belonged to you? He says, oh, Guru Nanak, no, it hasn't. I didn't even think of that. That I haven't always owned this land, no. This used to be my father's. They said, and then they said, this belongs to my family there, I can promise you. It belongs to our family. It's always been in our family. They says, what was your father's name? He named his father. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, who owned it before that? He said, my grandfather. I can name him too. I can name my great-grandfather. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, carry on. And then he ran out of names. He said, oh, because maybe that Kartar bloke did own it before my grandfather. He goes, I didn't know. He goes, maybe, oh, I know now. Maybe Kartar did own it. Guru Nanak Pacha says, Kende Bhai Dodda, Kende nothing belongs to us. Kende Kabir mera mujh mein kich nahi. Jo kuch hai, so tera. Tera tujhko saunp de kya lage mera. Kende Kabir Ji, Bhagat Kabir Ji saying. Bhagat Kabir Ji saying something so beautiful and so amazing. Kende Kabir mera mujh mein kich nahi. Jo kuch hai, so tera. Kabir Ji saying, Kende mera mujh mein kich. They said nothing belongs to me. Whatever there is yours. Whatever there is, or Waheguru there is, it is yours. Mera mujh mein kich nahi, jo kuch hai so tera, tera tujhko saumpte. There are many givers in this world. There are givers in this world, Gursikh Pyareo, but they still acknowledge the fact that at one point they owned it. There are huge givers out there. They are giving away, but they still acknowledge that I've given it. Like it was mine to give at one point. But Kabir Ji saying that tera tujhko saumpte. Who says this? This is I've given you back what was already yours. It was never mine to begin with. Tera tujhko. Who says that? Who says I'm just giving you what is yours? That people say I give 10%. People say I give this much. I went out and gave this. Kabir Ji saying I'm not giving you anything because it all belongs to you. I've got nothing to give. You know, people say that I had this much first, I had 100 first, then I gave 10%, now I've got 90 left. Kabir Ji saying, Mera, mujh mein kich nahi, jo kuch hai so tera, tera tujhko saumpte, kya lage mera. This bit is amazing. This is kya, listen to this carefully. It says, kya lage mera. You know, when we spend, we say, I've just spent something, I'm down now. Kabir Ji saying, I'm not down. This is because I had nothing in the beginning anyway to be down. This is kya lage mein. This is, you know, in Punjabi, this is kene mera ki laga. कहने मेरा तो कुछ लगा नहीं. You know, if somebody gave me something and then I gave that away, I wouldn't feel as if I've missed something because it wasn't mine anyway. They're saying, why Guruji, I've not missed anything because I didn't have anything anyway, it was all yours anyway. This reminds me of a little story. This is going out from the Prakarn a little bit, going out from our topic a little bit, but Guru Sikh Pyaro about Daan. What is it? What does it mean to become giving? To not even acknowledge what we're giving. There was a king. There was a king who was a great giver, but Guru Sikh Pyaro, he did something very strange. What did he used to do when he used to give? He used to say to his viziers, he used to say to his servants, he used to say, whoever you bring into my palace, don't only bring them from my village, bring them from everywhere. But just before you bring them, I want you to blindfold them. When you blindfold them, I want you to blindfold them. Why? So they don't know where they are going. And then bring them here. They said, but I want to be blindfolded too. So the king said, I want to be blindfolded. The people that you bring to me, I want them to be blindfolded. What does it mean to give? To not even acknowledge what you're giving. So the people this king used to give to, they were blindfolded. The king was blindfolded. He used to say, but I want to give with my own hands. So then they used to have to walk the king around with his hands, give out to the people that had come to eat from in his court. Many months passed like this. Even though one of the viziers, one of the servants said, I never questioned the king, but you know what? I really want to know why he does such a strange thing. Why doesn't he just like normal people? Why doesn't he just go out there and feed people? Why does he blindfold them? And one day he asked the king's servant this. He goes, why do you blindfold them and yourself? And the king said, listen, if you do ask today, the reason why I do that is because I don't ever want to think in my mind, because I don't want to ever leave my palace. I don't want to ever see one of those that I've given food to. I don't want to ever, that has eaten food in this court. I don't want to ever look at them and say, and think in my mind, oh look, there's that person that I gave food to. Because I don't want to ever acknowledge that I gave food to that person. This says, why do you blindfold them? Because I don't ever want them to recognize that I am giving them the food. He goes, I don't want to be in the equation. Because all I want them to know is that why Guruji gives them food. He goes, they can never recognize him and say, there's that king that gives us that food. He goes, I'm not in the equation. Because I want them to know there is only one giver, and that is Waheguruji. Guru Sikh Pyaro, we're going to come to an end now. We've not actually got to start this Bani, but Bhai Doda Ji played a big part. And then when he realized that nothing belongs to me, then he realized everything belongs to Kartar. Kartar is who? Kartar means the creator. That creator, there is only one creator, that is that one. Ek Akal Purkh Waheguru. That one Waheguru, everything belongs to that one Waheguru. He then realized he gave up even that little ounce he had left of home, of ego, even that was taken away completely. And then there was a few more people that played part. Somebody called Ajitta Randhawa. He played a part in getting Maharaji land in Kartarpur Sahib. And then there was somebody called Karodi Mal. He played a part in getting land for Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha in Kartarpur Sahib. And Bhai Veer Singh Ji writes his name as Karodiya Chand. What happened to him was, because remember, when somebody comes and starts speaking the words of truth, what happens? The people that are wearing the religious clothes but aren't true from inside, they start to worry about their little shops. Shops meaning what? Even though they call it dharamsalas, even though they call it mandars, they're not really mandars, are they? It's just become a place of making money. So they start to worry about their places that they have created to make money. So these religious people, now they go to the head of that city, which was Karodiya Chand. They go to Karodiya Chand, they says somebody called Guru Nanak has come to Kartarpur Sahib. They've even named it Kartarpur Sahib. They've given it a new name. Because even though Bhai Doda Ji said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha, we want to name this place after you. Ajitta Randhawa Ji, a Sikh of Guru Nanak Pacha, says, we want to name this place after you. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha said, no. They said, I want this place to call Kartarpur, the place of Kartar, the place of the Creator, where only the Creator is remembered at this place. They've gone back to Karodiya Chand, the Pandits have gone, the Qazis have gone, the Muslim Fakirs have gone, the religious scholars have gone. They've all gone. It says, Karodiya Chand, listen, you better deal with this person called Nanak. He's taken over the land of this place. There's even a place now they've named Kartarpur Sahib. You better be careful. He's going to take over this place. Karodiya Chand is furious, gets on this horse, and he goes, I'll go and imprison him. I'm going to put him behind bars. As he gets on his horse on the way, he stops on the way and his horse, he puts his feet up. As he puts his feet up, Karodiya Chand falls off that horse and he breaks his leg. He goes back home. As his leg is becoming better, getting better, somebody comes to him and says, don't go back. He says, don't go back. You should have learnt from the first time. He says, no, nobody else can take over this place. I'm in charge of this place. He gets on his horse again. But as he's riding towards that direction, this time he goes blind. He can't see anything. Guru Sikh Pyare, remember one thing, a life without Guru Nanak Pacha is living a life in blindness. He gets on his horse, he physically gets blind. But a life without Guru Nanak truly is a life living like a blind person from inside. Being blind from inside. He gets blind, he can't see where he is going. So what happens? There's darkness everywhere. He can't see where he's going, and who comes? Dodarani comes. She says, give up. She goes, you won't make it to Guru Nanak if you're going with that mode. She says, if you want your sight back, if you want something back in life, she says, get off that horse, get off your high horse. She goes, if you want your sight back, she goes, go to Guru Nanak with Nimrata, he will fill you with everything. Guru Sikh Pyareo, he gets off his horse, he starts to walk towards Guru Nanak Padshah. His sight comes back, he falls at the feet of Guru Nanak. That same person that says, I'm going to put you in prison, that same person that is saying, I'm going to put you behind bars. And today that Karodiya Chand is saying, oh Guru Nanak, I want to give you more land. Oh Guru Nanak, I'm going to get on my horse, wherever I can take my horse, wherever I can ride my horse, as much as the round the horse does, I'm going to give you that much land. And that's how then Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Vasaya Kartarpur. So much Sangat came to this place. And just like Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Fir Baba Aya Kartarpur, Pek Udasi Sagal Utara, Pehar Sansari Kapade, Manji Baith Kiya Avatara. He wore the clothes of a householder, but still he sat on a manji in Kartarpur Sahib. This is where this Bani would then Guru Nanak Pacha Ji recited. That Bani of Shabad Hazaare, that Jeeo ddarath aapanaa, kaise karee pukaar, dukh visaran sevya, sada sada datar. Guru Sikh Pyare, that Bani we're going to go through. Who did Guru Nanak Pacha say these words to? If you want to know, this was a conversation, by the way. You won't find this in any books. You won't find this in the translation of the Sikhi to the Max. You won't find this in Professor Sahib Singh's Steek. You won't find this in Faridkot Steek. But this is said by Mahapurkh. These words were given to somebody very dear to Guru Nanak Pacha. This is a conversation between Guru Nanak Pacha and somebody. Who is that somebody? If you want to know, then come back next week. So Guru Sikh Pyaro, itni ek bentiyan parwan karniya, ek ne per aneka hi galtiyan ho giyan han, anjaan bachcha samjh ke maaf kar dena. Aao ral mil ke gaj baj ke sare balao fateh. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.